St. Louis, we have a forecast of possible thunderstorms. We've had plenty of them so far today. And this good matchup of the Texas Rangers and the St. Louis Cardinals. The opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser. From May to July, buying Budweiser benefits military families. Shelby Miller, the right-hander, is getting set to go, and he brings with him a record of 8-4, an ERA of 2.08. That is the fourth best earned run average in baseball. It is his rookie season. He came up at the end of last year, and here is Tim's scouting report.
Primarily a high ball pitcher. He's working on that two-seam fastball in double play situations. And a lot has been said, Joe, about how Shelby Miller should have an economy of his pitches that is not a problem. So says Shelby. I think those that talk about that should drop the subject, and we'll talk more about it over the next 9 innings.
Right now, we'll give you the starting lineup for the Rangers, brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you've got to live Moss. Ian Kinsler leads off at second base. Elvis Andrus bats second at short. Nelson Cruz is in right. Adrian Beltre cleans up. A.J. Pierzynski does the catching. Mitch Moreland is back, and at first base, David Murphy is in left. Leonis Martin is in center. And Martin Perez, the left-hander, and the rookie will make the start tonight. And what that does is push Nick Tepesch to tomorrow night's matchup against Adam Wainwright. Just over an hour for the delay. About an hour, 5 or 6 minutes. And so these players starting a little bit after 7 o'clock, this is when their body clock is ready to go anyway. First pitch is up and in. And we're underway on a Saturday night. Kinsler, Elvis Andrus, and then Nelson Cruz for the Rangers, who are hot. That is ripped foul. A ball and a strike.
Speaking of body clocks, it's hard to believe that Ian Kinsler is 31 years old today. The former University of Missouri product. He has had some career, and the Rangers really missed him when he was on the DL.
Had a rib injury. He is a week back in the lineup. Came back last Sunday. There's a breaking ball from Miller in the count 1-2. This team, the Rangers, are 30-16 when he makes a start. They don't have him 4 games under the 500 mark, as this one is fouled out of play off to the right, and the count's still 1-2. So there's a foul ball, which leads somewhat into your point about pitch count, which drives you nuts with these younger pitchers, and everybody worried about Shelby Miller, who usually is around 80 pitches through 5 innings. He gets a strikeout, and that's how his night begins. 1 away here in the first inning.
In that at bat, you saw, while pitch counts are not important for a guy who throws as hard as Shelby Miller, foul balls and strikeouts. It takes at least 3 pitches to strike somebody out.
Right.
And more often than not, it takes more than that.
That's right.
You know, so if you're going to be effective and throw that hard and up in the strike zone, for the most part, you're going to throw a lot of pitches. And it's much ado about nothing with Cardinal fans or anybody else who's worried about Shelby Miller.
This one runs inside on Andrus, ball 1. 93 miles per hour from a guy who is number 4 on the all-time list for strikeout percentage in a rookie season. He's striking out, if you want to round up, 29% of the hitters that he is facing. And as Tim said, when you rack up those kind of strikeout totals, you're going to rack up high pitch counts. That's just the way he works. Here's a 1-1 pitch. That's into center, sending Robinson back. And Shane, you see John Jay out there, but Shane Robinson tonight. He's got Holiday to his right, Beltran to his left. Freeze, Cosma, Carpenter, Craig on the infield. The catcher is the best in the game, Yadier Molina, and he is guiding this young right-hander through this game tonight. Here's Nelson Cruz, strike 1. Nelson has found his name on this lineup card for manager Ron Washington in the number 3 spot. That's just taken place this week. He hadn't hit in the 3rd position since 2010. He's in the hole here 0-2. and a late swing. That keeps it 0-2. And his manager Washington told us before the game, I was so worried about protecting Beltre that I wasn't hitting Cruz where he probably fit best in our lineup, which is right here batting third.
When you think about it, he could hit third, fourth, or fifth and still be effective.
He strikes out, and it's a quick and easy inning to start the night for Shelby Miller. He waited over an hour for that first pitch. 2 strikeouts, no score after half. Starting lineup for the Cardinals brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Matt Carpenter leads off at second. Carlos Beltran bats second, then Matt Holliday, Alan Craig, Yadier Molina, David Freese, Shane Robinson hitting the number 7 spot. Then Pete Cosma, the shortstop. Shelby Miller has a home run this season. That's 9th, obviously. And here is Martin Perez making his second start of this season, just called up, and here he is on a Saturday night.
This is one of the cutest scouting reports we've had. Why? Because A.J. Brzezinski said, I've never caught the guy, so I don't know anything about him. I don't know any more than you do, so I'll find out with you. He broke his arm in spring training. That's why A.J. didn't catch him, and good numbers in the minor leagues. He was 5-1.
Here's Carpenter. He takes a strike. The Rangers really need Martin Perez right now.
Oh, yeah.
They need him to continue doing what he was doing at AAA, where he was 4-0 with an ERA just over 1. And you can see he's got good stuff. He's got a good live fastball, mid-90s there, and it's quickly 0-2.
Talking to Mike Maddox, the pitching coach for the Rangers, he said with Perez, you don't worry about his arm, but you do worry about him getting too excited. He's really got to relax.
Able to relax to make the catch here is Murphy out in left, 1 out. We'll give you the Ford keys to the game for this June 22nd affair between Texas and St. Louis.
We talked about people who thought the Texas Rangers were the best team in baseball back in April and early May. Well, they went into a slump, but they've won 4 of their last 5 games, and the Cardinals want to keep that consistency that they've maintained since the beginning of the year.
Well, they don't have Colby Lewis in their rotation. They don't have Matt Harrison, and they don't have Alexi Ogando. 3 guys that they were hoping to have at the beginning of the season, and really the closest guy is Joakim Soria. And he's a guy they gave a 2-year deal to help their bullpen. Here's a base hit into center off the bat of Beltran. And we have our first base runner of the night. The Rangers went in order in their half. The first, Beltran's on with 1 out here in the bottom half. And with the injuries and the guys they called up, the 3 young arms, really pitched well early. That's why through May 19th they had the best record in baseball, and they were rolling. They built up a 7-game lead in the AL West, under 500 since May 20th at 13-17. That's the 4th worst record in Major League Baseball, and they just came out of a stretch where they lost 6 straight and scored just 8 runs during that losing streak.
And it's been a key week for the Rangers. They beat the Oakland Athletics, the first place team in the American League West. 3 out of 4 games. A big game on Thursday afternoon.
And then they came here last night, got a big hit from Nelson Cruz in the 9th inning and beat the Cardinals 6-4. So they have won 4 of 5. Martin Perez got a swinging strike on Matt Holliday. Holliday hitting .275, 11 home runs, 40 RBIs. 1 on, 1 out, and strike 2 on Holliday. Matt's been heating up, and the rest of the National League thinking, yeah, that's all they need, just to get Matt Holliday rolling with the way they're producing with Carpenter, Beltran, Craig, who's an RBI machine. Yadier Molina's leading the league in hitting. Freeze is red hot. Here's the 0-2 in the dirt. A.J. Przinsky, we were visiting with him before the game, and he said, you know, I didn't realize how good these guys were going. But he sits back there in his crouch, and he's looking up at the stats with the rest of us here in the park on the scoreboard. He said every one of them's got 50 RBIs, and this is a Cardinal team that's been scoring a lot of runs to back up very good pitching.
25th in the major leagues in home runs, 25th of the 30 teams, and yet they continue to get one big hit after another.
A check on the runner Beltran, who has stolen just 1. Battling knee injuries the last few years, does not run like he once did.
Who does?
I'll say the same thing. Here is Beltran, one of the best, maybe ever, making that play on the chopper, and Adrian Beltre takes care of Holliday. 2 out. Defensive alignment for Texas is brought to you by Scott's official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. Murphy in left, Martin in center, Cruz in right. Beltre at third. Very good defensive left side of this infield with Andrews at short. Kinsler at second. Mitch Moreland, they're happy to have him back at first. Perez in the middle of it all, throwing to A.J. Przinsky. With 2 out and a runner at second, the batter will be Alan Craig. And here's where Alan Craig lights up. A .446 average this season with runners in scoring position, and even better with men in scoring position and 2 out. Ball 1 inside.
At a very early age, he is building a reputation of being one of the best clutch hitters in the National League.
And the irony of it is, he is in essence in this Cardinal lineup taking the spot of one of the best ever in the clutch department, Albert Pujols. Batting in the cleanup position, Pujols hit third. They play first, both of them. Craig spends some time in the outfield when the Cardinals try to get Matt Adams into their lineup at first base. The count evens at a ball and a strike.
Outfield shaded around toward right field for Craig. He has excellent power, as does David Freese, the third baseman. One of the sidelines of these Cardinal hitters, they're tough to defend against. They use all parts of the field in which to hit.
Perez is ready with a 1-1 pitch. Runner at second, 2 out. Into center field, a base hit. Beltran coming to the plate. Martin's throw. He's got a great arm. Not in time. 1-0 St. Louis in the first.
Cardinal fans here in St. Louis are getting used to this. Another base hit with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position by Alan Craig. But you're right about Leonis Martin, the center fielder. 5 assists on the season. 3 from center, 1 from left, 1 from right. but he just misses Matt Carpenter. I beg your pardon, Carlos Beltran.
And it's 1-0 St. Louis. And now Alan Craig runs the bases, and the batter is Molina, who is leading the league in hitting. And a foul straight back. Just to go back to Alan Craig, among current National Leaguers, only Ryan Howard is driven in runs at a higher rate and has Alan Craig over his career. Now, obviously, Howard's played a long time, and Craig is relatively new to the scene, but he has an RBI every 5.13 at bats. He just has a knack for driving in runs. That's a strike, and the count, a ball and a strike. Did you ever think this deep into a season we would be saying that Yadier Molina was leading the league in hitting?
No. A guy who had a .230 average his first 3 years with the Cardinals. Everybody talked about his defense. Molina felt shy about talking about his offense. He didn't want to talk about it. He has worked, I think, more than anything else. And the one thing about catchers and working on offense, they don't have as much time as other guys do. Because when catchers work with other players, they work with their pitching staff. That's their first responsibility. That's why so few catchers have led their respective leagues in hitting.
Here's a 1-2 from Perez, and Molina, who has obviously, if you're hitting 364, you developed into a tough out. But he's hitting pitchers' pitches now.
Yeah, right. That's a big difference.
He's hitting pitches that guys are giving him, and they're not upset with where the ball's ending up around the plate. He did that to Edwin Jackson a couple of nights ago against the Cubs.
That ball about 8 inches off the ground, down and in to Molina, a 2-run homer and a big one against the Cubs.
Out in front here, and he pops it up, foul, back, and out of play. But yeah, those stats, I mean, you talked about it. Molina, 5-time Gold Glove Award winner, hit .216 in 2006 when the Cardinals won it all, and it was at that time that his then manager Tony La Russa said, I don't care if Yadier Molina hits 0.
0 for the season.
0 for the season at the plate. He's going to catch every day, and we'll win with him catching. That's how good he is behind home plate.
And he proved that when the Cardinals won in 2006. Him hitting .216.
Right on cue, he strikes out on a bad ball, down and away. The Cardinals strike first on a Saturday night. Alan Craig brings home Carlos Beltran. 1-0 after 1 in downtown St. Louis.
animal.
David Freese became a hero in his hometown with that postseason. He was the NLCS MVP against Milwaukee and then backed it up by winning, can't say single-handedly, but pretty darn close. Game 6 of the World Series. The Cardinals won Game 7. That Game 6, Rangers fans are cursing me right now because I'm talking about it. But it's the Rangers and the Cardinals back on Fox in St. Louis. What do you expect? There's a strike to Adrian Beltre. We're underway in the second with the Cardinals on top 1-0. The Rangers were a strike away, an out away from the first championship in franchise history twice, and could not close it out.
In the 9th inning and the 10th inning. And then the David Freese home run in the 11th. Josh Hamilton hit his first home run in the postseason in 2011. A 2-run shot, and everybody in the country, I'll guarantee you, including us, thought this series is history. Everybody but the Cardinals.
I've literally watched the replay of that game twice. And we were sitting here, and I still don't believe that the Cardinals come back and win Game 6.
I know.
Let alone even getting into the playoffs that year.
Yep.
Here's one into left center field, well hit. Back Robinson at the wall, and off the wall for Beltre, who is battling a bad hamstring, and he just gets into second with a double.
Now, the one thing that a bad hamstring can cause, it can cause a base runner to be reluctant to slide because the hamstring would either pull more or it hurts. And that reluctance to slide almost nailed Beltre at second base. Carpenter with a quick tag, but Adrian in there.
And now A.J. Pierzynski, who is in the mold of Major League Baseball player and certainly no longer in the mode, at least at the moment, of contributing analyst to Fox Sports. He has left us in the dust. Here's a shot into right. Back at the wall, and the Rangers lead it 2-1. And the former broadcaster, current catcher for the Rangers, has made Ron Washington clap and put Texas on top 2-1.
Ron Washington does not hide his emotions, as we saw in the 2011 World Series. Dancing up and down in the dugout, something we tagged as the wash, and he's got reason to wash right now.
That is the 7th home run hit this season against Shelby Miller, and this was a laser.
A.J. Pierzynski, an experienced hitter, going up looking for a fastball to drive, got it, 2-1 Rangers.
So a no-doubter in number 7 on the year given up. Number 7 hit by A.J. Pierzynski in his first year with the Rangers. And he has really impressed his manager, Ron Washington, not just with what he's done at the plate, but the way he's handled this jumbled pitching staff the Rangers have had to work with because of injuries here in 2013. As Moreland stands in, took a ball, and now gets a line drive caught by Craig, 1 out. That is 3 hard-hit balls in this second inning after a perfect first for Shelby Miller.
During the 2005 World Series, when the Houston Astros lost to the Chicago White Sox, A.J. Pierzynski was the catcher. And Ozzie Guillen told us that, you know, if I were a manager against A.J. Pierzynski, I wouldn't like him.
But he loved him on his club. Here's a base hit into center. And Shelby Miller's not fooling anybody here in the second. Murphy is on with 1 out. Today's telecast is sponsored by Ford. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost, fuel economy, and a whole lot more. And by Taco Bell. Sometimes you've got to live Moss. 1 on, 1 out. 2 runs home on the shot by Pierzynski. There's AJ, and he's worked with us the last couple of postseasons. We have had just a blast with him.
Oh, yeah. More fun.
And as Ron Washington said, to back up what Ozzie Guillen said, He talks a lot of trash. He receives a lot of it too, and he just keeps coming at you. And he can really play. Ball one inside to Martin. Leonis Martin, as Brzezinski talks it over with Dave Maggott, his hitting coach.
Trading trash.
Here is a swing and a miss by Martin. 1 ball, 1 strike. Leonis has kind of taken over center field. He was in a part-time situation with Gentry. But it is Martin's job right now, and he is hitting .278, 3 homers, 12 RBIs. David Murphy on it first with 1 out and a 1-1. That one drops in for strike 2. After Martin, it's Martin Perez. The pitcher tonight for the Rangers, and he looks like he's got good stuff. See why they're excited to have him back. Ball and 2 strikes. As Martin just got a piece to stay alive.
Molina couldn't hold on. Ball wiggling out of the web.
David Murphy is on. He'd been hitting just .197 in June. .220 overall. Trying to find that stroke he had last year when he hit over 300. Pretty good rip by Martin, and the count's still 1-2. Packed house here in St. Louis. And these Cardinals and any team that visits, they get used to that. This crowd with a terrific reception for my broadcast partner, Tim McCarver, before tonight's game.
Very touching and very nice. Thank you.
We're honored on the field, and that was great. We'll show video of that. And you got your number 15 jersey with this new alternate jersey look the Cardinals are sporting in 2013. Martin hits it off the end of the bat into center to Shane Robinson. 2 out. Here you go before the game here tonight. Bill DeWitt.
Bill DeWitt Jr., my right and your left, and then his son, who is the president of the Cardinals. What a nice touch. I'm very proud of that shirt that I wore for 13 years with this team.
And 2-time world champion. Also won the pennant in '68, but the rest of the story wasn't so good.
No, not when Detroit came back and won the last 3 games. Something that Mike Shannon, the radio voice of the Cardinals for 40 years, and I will always remember. Not good memories there.
They honored Tim because this is his last regular season visit in his current role. There's so many different qualifiers to that sentence. It's not like you're going to vanish off the face of the earth.
Yeah, it's even confusing to me now.
Right. He could be back here in the postseason. Who knows? There's strike 2. As Martin Perez. Tell us all you know about Martin Perez as a hitter.
Well,
we'll learn with you.
I'll take AJ's line. He swings through a lot of balls.
He was overmatched. But A.J. Pierzynski wasn't. Look at that. Full extension. That's what happens when you work at Fox. Get McCarver in that jersey. He'll go deep too. 2-1. Hardware is sponsored by Bud Light, Lime-A-Rita, and introducing new Straw-Burrita. It's like a margarita in a can. Lime-A-Rita. This guy, I mean, he's thrown what? 8 pitches, but I like what I see from Martin Perez.
I like the way he goes in and out, Good change of speeds.
Here's a 1-0.
And as importantly, what Mike Maddox said about really there's nothing wrong with the arm, nothing wrong with his delivery, but the mental side of it, and can he keep cool under pressure? That's the problem for a lot of young pitchers, of course.
Count's gone to 3-0. So here he is, Rangers fans. The guy who broke your hearts. Not him. Strike one. David Freese, who grew up in the St. Louis area and provided any baseball fan with one of the most thrilling moments a World Series game can offer. That's into right center field, back at the wall. It is off the wall. Martin can't corral it, and David Freese is going to end up at third base, standing there with a triple. He missed a game-tying home run by about 3 feet, it looked like.
It's only his second triple since that triple over the head of Nelson Cruz. Jumping is Leonys Martin, and the ball hit his leg and kind of caroms toward right center field. Right there, hit his hand. And Nelson Cruz, who was backing up the play, can't make the play, and instead of a double, Freese has a triple.
Even with David Freese's speed, there would have been half a chance for him to circle the bases. He was watching, not really busting it out of the box, as Robinson is going to tie this game, and back is Cruz to make the catch. Doesn't matter in the end, and David Freese will score. He missed a home run by less than a foot. It turns into a triple, and Freese scores on the sac fly to right by Shane Robinson. Cosma will dig in, and David Freese scores the game-tying run. We're 2-2 in the second. Cosma hitting .256. He's actually been a good run producer in the bottom of this Cardinal lineup. Very good with runners in scoring position since getting the call up late last year, and it's his job now. The guy who currently wears number 15 for the Cardinals, as opposed to the guy sitting next to me that wore 15 for the Cardinals in the 60s, Rafael Furcal, had Tommy John surgery and is hopeful to play next season. But that may be a long shot. This one's inside, and count 2-1.
Yeah, Joe, a lot of baseball fans may not realize how difficult it is for an 8th place hitter in the National League to hit, because you always have the pitcher hitting behind you unless there's a double switch. And you don't know when that time is going to be, where they're going to pitch around you and force you to hit balls. That's the biggest reason it's tougher to hit in the 8-hole in the National League than the American League, where they had the DH.
Here's a 3-1. Shattered bat. One hopper to Kinsler. And that's out number 2.
While we're on this and David Freese hitting that triple, it's appropriate. Nelson Cruz in 2011 was in a no doubles defense, which means the outfielder is trying not to let a ball hit between him and the fence. Last night, had David Murphy not been in a no doubles defense, then he doesn't make that play, and the Cardinals may still be hitting or have tied the game. But that's what a no doubles defense is. If the ball's over your head, it has to be a home run. That's the philosophy that coaches teach outfielders in the major leagues.
There's Shelby Miller, the Cardinal pitcher, took a ball outside. Does have a home run for his only RBI, 2 for 29. And the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Two out, bases empty, a run is home. In a 2-2 game, second inning, Miller grounds back to Perez. And that will end the second. We're 2-2. After 2. We'll come back to St. Louis after a word from your local Fox station. A new season for new memories, for your chance to win a community field makeover and an all-new 2014 Impala. Visit ChevyBaseball.com. Seen a lot of breaking balls here early from Shelby Miller, and he finds strike 1 on Kinsler. He struck out Kinsler in the first. He gave up a 2-run home run to Pierzynski in the second. He's got Kinsler set up here at 0-2.
Ian Kinsler still with one of the quickest bats in the American League. He can pull anybody in baseball. Lightning fast hands. And for that reason, David Freese backing up at third base.
Here is the 0-2. Just spoiling the pitch, and that's
spoils the analysis too.
It does. How dare he? That's what Mike Matheny talked about with Kinsler and Pierzynski in particular, their ability to foul off pitches and battle during at bats. The 0-2 is just outside, ball 1.
Well, now that we're on that, Shelby Miller, prior to this game, in 15 starts, threw 295 pitches that were fouled off.
Breaking ball is hooked foul.
That ranks him 10th in the major leagues. Now think about it. With starters, they're about 5 a team, 30 teams, so 150 starters. So he's in the top 10 of people who foul off balls. And that list is very, very interesting. And we'll read you a couple of guys who are ahead of David. Or Shelby, I beg your pardon.
Outside, a check swing, and the count 2-2 on Kinsler.
More major league hitters have fouled off balls against Cliff Lee more than anybody. Chris Tillman, who's 8-2 for the Orioles. Justin Verlander, John Lester, Clayton Kershaw, Matt Harvey. So those are pretty good pitchers.
Here's a base hit into center off the bat of Kinsler. And the leadoff man is on for Texas in this 2-2 game, and we will check in with Greg in the MLB Network studios for a game break.
Joe, thank you. After the pitcher Patrick Corbin broke up Mike Leake's perfect game in the 6th, Gerardo Parra, the next guy up, tees off. His 7th homer of the year gives the Diamondbacks a 2-1 lead in the 8th. Joe, Tim, Patrick Corbin trying to improve his record to 10-0. Back to you.
What an unbelievable beginning to the season for Corbin. One of the out-of-nowhere stories, at least to that degree, across the major leagues in 2013. A 10-game winner, Adam Wainwright, goes tomorrow night in the finale of this 3-game set against Nick Tepesch. He pitched in Missouri, in Columbia, about an hour and a half, 2 hours away.
Jordan Zimmerman, a 10-game winner with the Washington Nationals.
Here is a throw down to first, and Kinsler just got back.
Molina's at his best when he throws behind a left-handed batter. But that last throw, in his lightning fast hands, strong throw, and Kinsler diving back. He doesn't give you much chance to get back. Had that throw been lower, closer play.
Not only does the runner have to pay attention with Molina behind the plate, but so does the first baseman. Good breaking ball from Miller, and the count 1-2 on Elvis Andrus.
Well, particularly with left-handed batters, we brought this up a couple of weeks ago because the left-hander serves as a shield to a catcher who's trying to throw to first base. So he can pick off the first baseman, too.
Kinsler on with nobody out here in the 3rd inning of a tie game. A pair of 22-year-olds hooking up tonight. Miller and Perez. That one dips low. The count 2-2. Shelby is coming off a win, but only a 5-inning win against the Cubs. He had to leave because of leg cramps due to dehydration. It is a much cooler night. The humidity has been brutal here this week, but the rain that came through the area really cooled things down. 70 degrees at the start of the night. So two teams used to playing with plenty of humidity. That's to third. Tough pickup. Good pickup by Freese, and safe at first. Nearly a double play from Freese to Carpenter on to first, and we'll get a mild argument from Mike Matheny with first base umpire Jerry Meals.
Well, you know, it's not virtuous for a runner to try to beat out an infield hit. Looked like he was out. But credit Elvis Andrus. I think it just nipped Elvis. I don't know now from that angle. But it's virtuous for a guy to beat a throw to first base, because you know the minute you hit it, you know you've got an offer next to your name. And that is one of the definitions of truly a team player, for a guy to beat throws to first base on a fielder's choice.
Now it's Nelson Cruz with Andrews at first, one out. When you think about these two clubs in general, I think the casual baseball fan would say, well, the Cardinals, they're not hitting a ton of home runs. They have the best record in baseball. They must also use the stolen base a lot. That's not the case at all, and yet it's Ron Washington's Texas Rangers, a club that's stolen 46 bases. The Cardinals have stolen 18 all year. Here's one down the right field line into the corner. It is gone. Home run Nelson Cruz, and it's 4-2 Texas here in the third. Cruz showing his strength down the right field line into that corner, and he may not exit that number 3 spot in this lineup anytime soon.
19th home run of the year. Nelson probably thinking, well, you're talking about that triple that got over my head. I'll hit one in that general vicinity to put the Rangers on top. Tremendous power the other way. And the former MVP of the 2010 American League Championship Series gives the Rangers the lead. Dangerous hitter.
Dangerous hitter. And for the Rangers, a dangerous situation, as Nelson Cruz is one of the names that's been mentioned with that whole biogenesis investigation. Nobody knows where that's going to end up. There's going to be so much that's going to transpire with regard to what Major League Baseball is going to do, whatever the response will be from the Players Association, maybe even individually. Here's a swing and a miss by Beltre. Now he's in the hole 1 and 2. Ken Rosenthal is with us, and Ken, he's their biggest run producer, and who knows where this biogenesis scandal is going to end up.
Right, Joe. There is some sentiment among the players that baseball wants to announce some suspensions right after the All-Star game, but that probably is an aggressive timetable. And even after the suspensions are announced, probably be a month and a half at least before the appeals process goes to the distance. So really, this might not happen this season, but as you said, we really don't know where this is going, and a lot of things are possible right now.
Yeah, and how far-reaching it's going to be, and how many names are truly on the list. You've heard 9, you've heard 20, you've heard 90 guys in the minor leagues. As A.J. Pierzynski, who homered his first time up, digs his way in and takes high for ball 1.
Yeah, it's that angry cloud hanging over baseball.
For the Rangers, Nelson Cruz, not a guy they can afford to lose in this lineup. You know, you talk about 2011 and these two teams meeting in the World Series. These clubs are so different personnel-wise since that October.
Totally.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Pierzynski. That's strike 2.
Even the manager of the Cardinals.
There's La Russa then.
Yeah, Tony La Russa's last year. He retired after 2010. Mike Matheny, the 49th Cardinal manager, in his second year, and he has been splendid.
Yeah, and you think about the Rangers in particular. No Mike Napoli. He was as valuable as anybody in that entire postseason.
Right.
Obviously, Josh Hamilton, Michael Young. Here's one into right center. No C.J. Wilson. Off the bat of Pierzynski, but damage done in the third inning. A 2-run shot by Nelson Cruz. Down the right field line. It looked and sounded like that. Molina knew it. So did Shelby Miller. 4-2 Texas after 2.5. Top of the order for the Cardinals in the third inning as they trail 4-2. Martin Perez finds strike number one. It'll be Carpenter, then Carlos Beltran, then Holiday. If anybody gets on, Alan Craig. That's a line drive, base hit into center. As that ball shot through the infield, and Carpenter's 1 for 2 on the night. Manager for the Rangers, Ron Washington. We talked to him during the break, and the first was about Martin Perez and his electric stuff. He's looked good so far tonight.
Well, I do. I really do. He's keeping the ball down. He's trying to change speeds, and more than anything else, you know, he's showing some presence out there.
Ron, you know, that last inning is very interesting because Elvis Andrus beat that play at first base. Had he not beaten that play, the inning could have turned out differently, and the 2-run home run could have been a solo shot, or you never know if Nelson Cruz is going to get a pitch like that.
Well, you're right there, you know, and you can't beat hustle. And, you know, Elvis always hustles, and just as he did last night, he did it today and kept the inning alive. And as long as you can keep innings alive, you always end up getting your best hitters up there. And, you know, it worked out for us that Cruz got up there.
And I know the answer to this question before I ask it, but your number 3 hitter is working out pretty well for you right now. I have a feeling that's going to be the first name you write on your lineup card when you come to the park tomorrow.
Well, I tell you, he's certainly been getting us some big hits, and I just want him to continue.
I know you do. Ron, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ron. In his 7th year as manager, the Texas Rangers won back-to-back pennants in 2010, 2011. After Beltran fly to center, the batter is Matt Holliday. And Ron Washington, one of our favorite managers to talk to. And we get a chance to visit with him in his office prior to the game. And he keeps things pretty simple. He
really does.
I think he keeps it simple for us. And you get the feeling as Holliday grounds a double play ball to Beltre. Out at second, out at first. He keeps it pretty simple for these players of the Texas Rangers. Can't beat hustle. Just go out there and play ball. 4-2 Texas after 3 in St. Louis. Back to baseball night in America, presented by Ace Hardware. 4th inning rolls in. It's a 4-2 Texas lead. Back to work is Shelby Miller. It'll be Mitch Moreland, David Murphy, and Leonis Martin for the Rangers, who have had a pair of 2-run home runs. One by Przinsky in the 2nd, the other by Nelson Cruz in the 3rd. 4th. First pitch is a strike. 93-mile-an-hour fastball from Shelby Miller, who is from Texas. Ken Rosenthal is with us. He will detail for you as only Ken can. Now, Shelby Miller got away from the Texas Rangers in the draft back in 2009. After Mitch Moreland does something to start this fourth. Set up at 0-2. Moreland was starting to get hot before he pulled his hamstring. Went on the DL. Quick rehab, and now he's back. If you think about the first base position for the Texas Rangers in their recent history, they've got Moreland there. But they've had some big guys in their organization at that position. None bigger than Chris Davis, who has had this breakout season for the Baltimore Orioles and leads baseball in home runs. But they've had Teixeira there, even Adrian Gonzalez. But they are with Mitch Moreland, and they really need him to show more of what he was showing before he got hurt. That makes it 2-2.
Mitch Moreland's one of the few guys who can match Gold Gloves with Mark Teixeira. He's as good a left-handed throwing first baseman as Teixeira is a right-handed thrower. And he made a play last night that was just sensational.
There's strike three as Miller snuck a fastball in there, 1 out. And strikeout number 4. Ken Rosenthal, how the heck did Shelby Miller not end up a Texas Ranger?
Well, Joe, the Rangers did have a special insight into Miller. He played for their area code games team in 2008. One of their scouts was his manager. But in the 2009 draft, picking 14th, they took another pitcher named Matt Perk. Turns out they didn't even sign Perk. Miller goes to the Cardinals at number 19. And what's really interesting is that Shelby told us yesterday that he had a pre-draft deal arranged with the Astros to go at number 21, but the Cardinals grabbed him first with the scouting director, Jeff Luhnow, who, of course, is now at the Astros, and what might have been for Luhnow if he had not taken Shelby Miller in Houston.
Yeah, that's so ironic that the organization that he watched growing up in that area in Texas, and you can see more here about Shelby Miller through 3 consecutive no-hitters during the Texas State High School playoffs.
Think about that, folks. 3 consecutive no-hitters. You might think that's a record. It's not.
How can that not be a record?
I said the same thing. Wayne Fiddleman, our numbers guy, said that there were 2 other instances where a high school pitcher won 6 consecutive no-hitters in 1961, 1989. That's staggering to me.
David Murphy lined out to left. Leonis Martin has an infield hit as Shelby Miller thought better of trying to make some crazy throw. And the former All-State punter at Brownwood High School has to work to Martin Perez, his counterpart tonight, with 2 out. Here is an 0-1 pitch. And you could say it again. Martin Perez is overmatched. You can see that last line. He had signed a letter of intent to play at Texas A&M before being drafted by the Cardinals with that 19th overall pick in 2009. That strikeout is number 5 for the Cardinal rookie right-hander, but he's on the short end in a 4-2 game. Some of the images from tonight already. It's been fun. Bottom of the 4th rolls in. Craig, Molina, Freeze coming up for the Cardinals, down by 2. 2 game. Cardinals coming up. Their big bats, Alan Craig, Yadier Molina leading the league in hitting, and David Freese. Joined by Adam Wainwright down in the corner of the Cardinal dugout. Old 6'7", 235-pound right-hander Adam Wainwright, who gets the ball tomorrow night. He thought he was going to be matched up against Yu Darvish, but instead it's Nick Tepesh. And what are you thinking on a Saturday night prior to your Sunday night start?
Well, thanks for having me. I think sometimes the most dangerous thing is to think, oh man, I get to miss you, and then you don't give the pitcher that takes his spot enough credit. So I looked at Tepesh's stuff. He's got some very nice stuff. He throws hard and he's got all the kind of pitches. So I've got my work cut out for me for sure.
That's because you like to hit. Here's a 1-1 pitch. That's why you're watching video of Tepesh. You take pride in your hitting. I
like to know what's going on. I like to know.
We see these two clubs getting together and all these great memories in St. Louis and the heartbreak for Texas, but you weren't a part of it because you were rehabbing from Tommy John surgery. I know you were a part of it in one way, but not the way you would have liked.
I was definitely a part of it.
I know you were. I'm not short selling.
But I definitely was not a part of it as well. So I know what you're saying. I was here in spirit and to be a positive influence, but I definitely did not get to contribute any way on the field. But I was so proud of those guys, the way they competed, and they never gave up. They had their backs against the wall several times and just kept ticking. And there's so many lessons to be learned from that, and in so many ways it made our team so much stronger going forward. So we learned a lot from that experience, and we still live off those moments today.
How many times have you seen that World Series from beginning to end? Or have you?
Just the one. Just the one, watching it in person.
Really?
Yeah.
And you haven't looked back on it?
No, we see some replays. But
just the big moments.
Just the big moments. That's right.
Here's Yadier Molina. The at-bat doesn't last long enough to really get into what makes Molina so good, but I want to. You're a thoughtful guy and somebody who I know thinks about a lot of this stuff, and I think someday would be a good television analyst if he ever wanted to do this racket up here.
We could find a channel that didn't care who they hired, maybe.
Yeah, right, okay. Tell us about Molina real quick from your vantage point and why he is what he is, which is, in my estimation, the MVP of the National League.
Well, there's no way to put a price on how important he is to us. There's no one thing you can point to that makes him so special. Obviously, he's got every tool he could possibly have defensively. I think what's been incredible to see is his maturity and his growth as a hitter. He went from a good, solid hitter, a tough out, a guy that could shoot singles to right on you, to being the all-around type of hitter you see today that can drive the ball out of the park to all fields and do it on all kinds of pitches. So I just think we're so proud of him, and he's so important to our team. He makes our pitchers the best they can possibly be, but he's also such a threat at the plate. He's an all-around great baseball player.
David Freese likes looking out at that Rangers uniform. He has been red hot, hit 329 since the end of May coming in. He's 2 for 2. He gets a base hit to left. Here you are, a kid from Georgia, live in the Sea Island area. I don't know what town specifically down there?
St. Simon's Island.
St. Simon's Island.
Born in Brunswick, Georgia, live in St. Simon's Island.
So you're drafted by the Atlanta Braves. You go into that organization. You're traded here. You've had all this success, and now you've been locked into this long-term contract. You know where you're going to be now for the next handful of years. That's got to be an amazing feeling.
It is. They're stuck with me. They're stuck with me here. I got to thinking about it, and you start thinking about free agency, and every player, if they're not lying, will tell you, that lure of free agency is something that creeps into the back of your head. And I'd sat down with my family and my advisors and all the people that mean the most to me in life, and we decided that we would rather be anywhere than right here. And this is the perfect baseball town for us on many levels, so there was no reason to go anywhere else.
Want to know the count now, 1-1 on Robinson. You guys know you're good. This is a very good Cardinal team, as good as there has been in a long time. But you also have a lot of fun. And Matheny's a tough guy, but I see you guys messing around down in that dugout more than just about any team in the big leagues.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. If somebody's throwing seeds at you.
Nobody likes having fun in this dugout.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I think Mike is, early on, he may have questioned our seriousness when it comes to watching the game and paying attention and all that. But I think he realized quickly that we're having a great time on the bench, obviously, but we're also paying attention. We're talking baseball. We're talking shop with the guys. But we keep it light. We play 162 games plus hopefully another month in the playoffs. And if you get too stiff in here, it makes it a lot tougher. We've been on teams before where it was very cliquey and guys didn't really cheer for each other. And I think what you're looking at now is something that we've built over the years in a team that really just loves each other, loves people, loves on each other constantly, goes to battle for each other, and roots for each other. I mean, but we have a good time. We do. We're not good dancers, but we do it often.
We try.
We're not good at coming up with handshakes, but we have a bunch of them. We keep it light, no doubt.
You may not be good dancers, but you're most of you are good golfers. Any tips from Davis Love down at St. Simon's? That's his home course down there.
It is,
right?
yeah. We're blessed to have many golfers down there. Davis Love, Jonathan Bird, Lucas Glover, Zach Johnson, Brent Schwarzrock. A lot of PGA pros live down there, and I like to just go out there and watch them practice. They'll practice for an hour on putting to one hole. Or one time I played 9 holes, and Jonathan Bird was hitting a shot to a 100-yard green, and I played 9 holes and came back around. He was still hitting the same shot to the same 100-yard green. See, I can multitask.
Yeah, you can.
But that's kind of how we, as pitchers and professional athletes on any level, you get out of it what you put in, and that's why they're so good.
It's repeating things, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
Hopefully Carpenter doesn't hurt his back bending down for that baseball.
This would have been really tough for me a few years ago, but luckily I'm kind of schooled and practicing doing interviews with lots of guys throwing seeds and baseballs at me.
Hey, Adam, thanks. Good luck tomorrow night, and congratulations on the deal and 10 wins already. Good Lord, that's a heck of a start.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good to talk to you too, Mr. McCarver, the great
Adam.
Tim McCarver.
Okay.
He called you a stud.
He called me a stud before we went on the air. You know how long it's been before I've been called a stud? It's been a few years, Joe, a few decades.
2 on, 2 out after a walk to Shane Robinson, and it sits in the lap of Pete Kozma, the Cardinal shortstop. Tying runs are on. They're at first and second. Pitcher on deck, and the 0-1 pitch from Perez is on the way. Good pitch for strike 2. We talked about Kozma. He has had a knack for coming through in this spot. 362 average with runners in scoring position in the regular season and the postseason since coming up from the minors. But here he reaches for one and just got a piece. He's in the hole 0-2.
That was a hanger Martin Perez got away with. Ball up in the strike zone.
Lead runner is Freeze. Trail runner is Robinson. Cardinal pitcher is on deck. An 0-2 count on Kozma. Did not get all of it. Murphy coming on. He's got time, and he's got the baseball end of the inning. And so Perez gets around the hit and the walk with 2 out. Our thanks to Brian Bartow, Cardinal PR Director, Adam Wainwright for joining us as we go to the 5th. 4-2 Texas. fifth inning on a Saturday night, 4-2. Texas on top. Ian Kinsler first up. Elvis Andrews bats second, and then Nelson Cruz. Here is a strike from Shelby Miller. Miller struck out 5. He hasn't walked anybody, but he's allowed a pair of 2-run home runs. Kinsler spins out of there. He is set up at 0-2 again. He struck out his first time, battled back from an 0-2 count, got a base hit to center his next time. And now he is right back in that position at 0-2. Line drive into left. Coming to get it is Holiday with a sliding catch. 1 out. So 1 down, and Holiday got a good jump, made a nice play. Next Saturday on Baseball Night in America, Chris Davis. And those 27 home runs at the moment, who knows how many a week from now. He and the Orioles take on Robinson Cano and the Yankees. The Reds head to Texas to take on these Rangers, Cubs, Mariners, Brewers, Pirates, Tigers, and Rays. Presented by Ace Hardware next Saturday at 7 Eastern only on Fox. How about this? This has got to eat at this Texas Rangers franchise as they send him away along with Tommy Hunter, a hard-throwing right-hander, part of a very good bullpen in Baltimore. In that 2011 season for Uehara, Koji Uehara, who's now with Boston and really did not give the Rangers what they were banking on when they gave those 2 young players to get him.
Yeah, a guy who in large part had a lot to do with that trade was Buck Showalter, who used to manage the Texas Rangers and saw Chris Davis in high school and then traded for him later for the Orioles, and it has turned out to be a marvelous deal for Baltimore.
Elvis Andrews in the hole 1-2. Shelby Miller thought he had a strikeout. Instead, it was ball 1. 1 out, nobody on. Miller brings it, and Andrews fouls it off to the right. How about that deal, Ken Rosenthal? It's looking a little lopsided at this point.
It does, Joe, and that trade was one of many made by Andy MacPhail, who was then the Orioles president of baseball operations. And it was a deal that the Rangers knew at the time could come back to haunt them. I remember their GM John Daniels saying, hey, we know Davis could erupt, but he had gotten several chances with the Rangers. It just hadn't happened. And hey, they've got to be satisfied too. Mitch Moreland is developing into an excellent player.
Yeah, he really is. And you can see he's just got a better attack and approach at the plate. Here's Nelson Cruz. After the base hit by Elvis Andrews into center field, right past the leg of Shelby Miller. 1 on, 1 out. In the words of Eugene Levy in the movie Splash, what a week I'm having. What a week this guy is having. Nelson Cruz, he couldn't get any better. Here's a fly ball into center, just got under it. And Robinson makes the catch. Andrews tags. Here comes the throw. It's over the head of Matt Carpenter, and good base running by Andrews puts him in scoring position with 2 out. And here's the week for Nelson Cruz. That big series against the Oakland A's on Monday, he hit 2 home runs. Second put the Rangers ahead to stay as they took 3 out of 4 in that big series in Arlington, Texas. Last night, the game-winning 2-run hit up the middle off Trevor Rosenthal in the 9th, and then tonight, a 2-run shot in the 3rd inning down the right field line. It's been an 11 RBI week for Cruz. Here's a line drive into left. Hard hit off the bat of Beltre, but pretty much right at Matt Holliday, who went back to grab it. 4-2 still halfway through it here in St. Louis. Here's a shot into right. Back at the track. At the wall. Hamilton has gone deep. And it's 9-7 Texas here in the 10th. But that was not the final chapter that night or in that series. Shelby Miller leads it off. 4-2 Rangers lead tonight as we play in the bottom of the 5th inning. After that home run, current Texas Ranger Lance Berkman tied the game in the 10th. And then David Freese had his moment, which will trail around after him for the rest of his life in the 11th. Miller is in the hole 1 and 2.
David on Jay Leno. He was on David Letterman. He did everything. Josh Hamilton, on the other hand, signed as a free agent with the Anaheim Angels and was moved to 7th in the order this week.
I mean, it's getting bad.
Oh, it's really getting bad.
You have to put a guy like Josh Hamilton, who was just a fixture in the number 3 spot for the Texas Rangers, and all kinds of numbers from the minute he got to Texas. In the 7th spot for a team that's double digits out in the AL West. That's not good.
Yeah, moved to the 2-hole by manager Mike Scioscia. Mike telling us a couple of weeks ago that he put him in a new neighborhood hitting number 2. Well, he's in another new neighborhood hitting 7th in the order.
He went from 4th to 5th to 2nd. That didn't work in the order. And now 7th. 0-2 the count on Matt Carpenter, who has a base hit, 1 for 2. He singled into center his last time up. And now he's jammed. That's Moreland. And that's 2 easy outs. And Martin Perez is giving Texas exactly what they needed here tonight.
Once again, a 23-year-old that broke his arm. A line drive back through the box. His left arm in spring training. In mid-March, was slated to be the 5 starter that year and had to be obviously sent out. His arm healed. And then he had 1 appearance in a doubleheader against the D-backs in Phoenix earlier in the year.
Strike 1 to Beltran. You saw the Own Your Space pitcher profile brought to you by Avis. And Perez is 2/3 of the way through this 5th inning.
You can tell he knows what he's doing. And that presence is very, very important.
Signed as a 16-year-old. Born in Venezuela. Here's a fly ball into center that is caught. Nice sliding catch by Martin in center. And the Rangers are having fun here tonight, playing good defense. We've seen some of that on both sides. As we go to the 6th inning, Rangers will bat up 2. Telecast presented by Ace Hardware is sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. 6th inning now, and it will be Pierzynski, Moreland, and Murphy. A.J. has a 2-run shot tonight, 1 for 2. Fly to center his next time up. Takes one outside, ball 1. Miller has struck out 5. Allowed 4 runs on 7 hits. No walks. Off the end of the bat into left center field, carrying pretty well, but Robinson back in front of the track, 1 out. Pierzynski's 1 for 3. So A.J. back to the dugout. The batter will be Mitch Moreland. So this Texas team kicked it in the perfect time here in June. Losers of 6 straight, and then the A's came to town and they won 3 of 4. Trying to take the first 2 games of this series in St. Louis. All in all, though, it was a 4-7 11 game homestand.
But they beat the team they had to beat.
They were 1-6 until they won that series. First pitch of ball to Moreland. But that Oakland A's team, they're not going anywhere.
No, they are good, and Texas knows it.
Maybe most upsetting for the Rangers is the one guy who was on the mound when they lost the game in that series was Darvish. And he's now 1-4 in his career against the team that's turned into their biggest threat in the AL West.
Speaking of Oakland, Bartolo Colon won his 10th game of the year last night after having won only 10 all of last year.
Here's a 3-0 pitch. It's outside, and that's the first walk handed out by Shelby Miller. There are the numbers for Bartolo Colon. So 7 straight. He's won 10 overall. And his ERA is under 3. A couple of complete games for the big right-hander out in Oakland.
No, Joe, we talked earlier about pitch count, and I told Shelby Miller a story about Doc Gooden. Told him last night when Ken and I were talking to him. Doc Gooden went 24-4 in 1985 with a 1.54 earned run average, one of the best records in the history of the game. And the next spring, he came to spring training, and the talk by Davey Johnson and Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach, was about economizing his pitch count and getting quicker outs. That would be fine if the hitters cooperated. But major league hitters are not going to cooperate with a guy trying to keep his pitch count down, meaning make earlier outs. And that bedeviled Doc Gooden for the rest of his career. And he never had a year like 1985. He did that as a 20-year-old, by the way, in 85.
Swing and a miss by Murphy, and the count 2-1. Well, I mean, what happened last year with the Washington Nationals in Strasburg, it's just not that easy. And you can do all you want and try and protect guys. All you want. But when they shut down Strasburg, that team lacked a big piece of what made them so dangerous last year. And you don't just automatically go, oh, well, we'll save him for next year.
Yeah, because we're going to be
back.
We're going to be in the postseason for a lot of years. I'm really surprised. And Mike Rizzo, we talked about it last year, talked about it this year. The general manager of the Nats, Mike Rizzo, made a gutsy move.
Murphy pops it into left. Plenty of time for Holiday to get there. 2 out.
And I'm a little surprised that Mike Rizzo hasn't come into more fire and more criticism this year because Steven Strasburg went on the DL again.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, the point is when you have a chance to be in the postseason, you got to run your best 25 out there. And if they get hurt, so be it.
Ken Rosenthal is with us. I know, Ken, you will balance this out somehow. Go ahead.
Well, the Cardinals do plan to have some kind of innings limit on Shelby Miller, but they're going to space him out. And they've got some off days coming up. They can give him an extra day's rest here or there. They can give him some additional rest at the All-Star break. And as Mike Matheny pointed out to us before the game, this is a kid who had 3 professional seasons coming into this season, threw 150 innings last year. So he has been built up nicely, and they feel that if they take care of him properly, they should have him deep into the postseason. Unlike with the Nationals, who just kept pitching Strasburg every 5th day, and eventually the clock ran out.
Well, if those 5 every 5th day had been later in the season and perhaps started him in the bullpen for 6 weeks or something like that to build up arm strength, I think everybody would have understood it. But after 159 innings of work, to take him out against the Cardinals, I mean, he could have been a major factor against the Cardinals, and wasn't.
1-1 on Martin. Just made a nice sliding catch, and now he's got a base hit into center. And with 2 out, Moreland will stop at second. And it's 2 on for Martin Perez, the starter and the pitcher for the Texas Rangers. Yes, the clock ran out, but it was the clock that they put on this guy.
Right. That's exactly right.
So, okay, the clock runs out, but everybody's got these magical formulas now for how they want to just guide these pitchers in the early years of their careers, and I just don't think it's that easy.
Well, prudent use of those pitch count programs is fine. I don't think anybody would argue with the prudent look at what organizations and pitchers are trying to do. But to say that one is the same for everybody is just wrong. It's flat out wrong.
2 on, 2 out, the 0-1 pitch. Trying to bunt his way on. Not a bad approach. He's been overmatched and safe at first to load the bases. So a good idea by Martin Perez, and even though Miller had a chance to get the out, his throw pulled Craig off the bag, and it's an error on Shelby Miller.
So Martin Perez said, well, I struck out a couple of times. I couldn't hit him, so I'll try to bunt him. An easy play for Miller. A bit lackadaisical, but ends up pulling Carpenter off the bag.
And Mike Matheny comes out of the dugout, and that error could bounce Shelby Miller out of this game. He's got Seth Maness in the bullpen, and it has. So instead of having the opportunity to get out of the top of the 6th inning and then see what happens in the bottom of the inning, the rookie who's 8-4 commits the throwing error, and it takes him out of the game. So with the bases loaded, 2 out, Seth Maness is coming in. He's been an out machine for the Cardinals. He's in a jam here in the 6th. Seth Maness takes over with the bases loaded, 2 out. Texas leading 4-2. Maness has been a big find for the Cardinals in their bullpen. Gets a lot of ground balls, doesn't need the double play here. Trying to make a good pitch to get Kinsler. The count evens at a ball and a strike. Maness did not break camp with the Cardinals. Here's a ground ball left side, and a nice pickup on a short hop by Freese ends the inning. Maness comes in, does his usual work. A guy who's induced 8 double plays, tied for the most in baseball. Shelby Miller out of the ball game. 4-2 as we go to the bottom of the 6th in St. Louis.
In Arizona, after Heath Bell blew the save in the top half of the 9th, Aroldis Chapman couldn't get a single out. Jason Kubel drives in 2, and the Diamondbacks have won 4 straight. They walk off the Reds by a score of 4-3. In Detroit, Max Scherzer strikes out 6 batters, doesn't walk anyone through 7 innings, getting close to becoming the first pitcher to start a season 11-0 since Roger Clemens did it back in 1997. Let's get you back to St. Louis. Here's Joe Buck and Tim McCarver.
Greg, thanks. Yeah, that was your pick, Max Scherzer, for the AL Cy Young Award.
Yeah, I mean, you could name any, pull them out of the hat, but I just thought Max Scherzer, that the maturity came together with the physical ability, and it was going to be a big year for him, and so far it has been.
Here's Matt Holliday in the hole 0-2. A couple of things. First of all, Scherzer's from this area, from St. Louis, and one of the real good guys in the game. Detroit started the day with a 3-game lead over Cleveland. That drives Holliday off the plate. Meanwhile, Arizona, with their 4th straight win, they started the day 2.5 games up on San Diego in the NL West. Here's a ground ball left side. Andrews gloves and throws. 1 out. Holliday 0 for 3. Take a look at the Fox Sports 1 pitching comparison presented by Fox Sports 1, America's new sports network, coming August 17th. There are the numbers for the 222-year-olds.
And prior to this year, the only thing to rave about in San Diego was a pitching comparison down there. But a lot of people may have forgotten that the San Diego Padres this year, under new ownership with Peter O'Malley And relatives of Peter moving to San Diego, the former owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Alan Craig now took a ball.
They're doing it right in San Diego thus far.
So they're right in the thick of it in the NL West. Meanwhile, at the start of the day, here on the 22nd of June, even the most avid baseball fan, if asked this question, I would bet more times than not, would get the answer wrong. Cardinals have the best record in the major leagues right now. At the start of the day, which team had the second best record in all of baseball? Here's a 2-0 to Craig. Left side, and Beltran makes the play. Boy, they're good over on the left side of the infield, 2 out. The Pirates.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pittsburgh Pirates with the second best record in Major League Baseball at the start of this day, June 22nd. Last 2 years, they've been very good in the first half of the season, but they've had a tough time in the second half. They are getting better. They are infusing a lot of that good young talent. And I have
like Garrett Cole.
Like Garrett Cole, who's 3-0. He won last night. He looks legit. They're going to stick around, I think, the second half of this year.
I do too.
First pitch, a strike to Yadier Molina. Meanwhile, Will Myers, who was traded from the Kansas City organization to Tampa Bay, got his first home run today. It was a grand slam and a losing cause against the Yankees. And Zach Wheeler pitched with Matt Harvey on a dream day for the Mets and their fans, and they won both ends of a doubleheader against Atlanta.
Traded to the Mets from the San Francisco Giants for Carlos Beltran.
There's a pitch up and away, ball 1. 1-2 with 2 out, nobody on.
And then, of course, Carlos signing a 2-year deal as a free agent with the St. Louis Cardinals on the second year of that 2-year deal.
Foul back. We're going to hear from Kenny either here in this 6th inning or in the 7th about Carlos Beltran, what he's meant to this community. And while the Cardinals have this hotshot outfield prospect Oscar Taveras getting ready at AAA, I would think that the Cardinals will do what they can to try and bring Beltran back here for at least another year. We'll have to hear it in the 7th. Striking out is Molina. 3 strikeouts for Martin Perez, who's been outstanding. Pretty night downtown St. Louis after a lot of rain. 4-2 Texas after 6. All-Star Game coming up July 16th. Citi Field in New York, in Queens for the All-Star Game here in 2013. You can go to MLBFanCave.com and pledge your NL or AL allegiance. And all of our coverage begins right here on Fox at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on that Tuesday night, July 16th.
And you can vote 35 times, right?
Is that the limit?
I think that's right, yeah.
Elvis Andrus is up on the count here, 2-0. Seth Main is back for more work. He got out of a bases-loaded jam in the top of the 6th. Here comes his 2-1 pitch. It misses, 3-1. Kevin Segrist, the left-hander who is, you can't say somebody literally has come out of nowhere, but I mean, he is a weapon.
Not bad for a 1,235th round pick.
Not round.
Oh, yeah, not round. I'm sorry. Pick. So there were 1,234 players signed before him or drafted before him. Yeah, that's right.
And so
this something.
Yeah, he creeps into the mid-90s, has a developing breaking ball. He's a good one. Full count on Elvis Andrus. Give you the AL voting leaders for the upcoming All-Star Game. Looks like this. Trout in left. Adam Jones in center. Markakis, his teammate with the Orioles, in right. You see Cabrera, Hardy. They're voting a lot in Baltimore. Chris Davis, nobody's more deserving than him. Joe Mauer. The DH is David Ortiz. Andrus waits for another 3-2, and we'll see another one. If we showed the American League side, you got to show this. The NL voting leaders with Beltran, Harper, Upton got off to that great start. Sandoval, Tulowitzki, who's hurt. Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto, and Buster Posey. Andrus flies to center, 1 out in the 7th.
The one guy, and I'm sure we'll talk about this on July 16th, the one guy who surprises me with his consistency in either league is David Ortiz. I mean, how he can continue to come back. I mean, there were Boston writers and people around Boston saying he may be finished 4 or 5 years ago.
Right. In back-to-back years.
Yeah.
He homered tonight. He's as big a threat as any DH in any lineup. And you said it the other day when we were doing a game at Fenway Park. Here's a 1-0 Cruz. Sounded like a foul tip. It was, and then strike 1. Pitch the road inside. Let's take another look. But you can make the argument, it was a foul tip, you can make the argument that David Ortiz is the best.
I think so.
DH in the history of the DH.
I think so. Edgar Martinez, of course, probably the best hitter with the Seattle Mariners. But the combination of power, consistency, average, everything, I think it's got to go to David Ortiz.
Here's a 2-1 to Cruz. Chopped up the middle, base hit. Nelson is red hot. 2 out of 4 tonight.
The DH, by the way, for those of you who forgot, first year was 1973. And the first American League DH was Ron Blomberg. And then Orlando Cepeda, who had a lot of people. I mean, here's a Hall of Famer, but he only DH'd for about a year and a half. MVP for the Cardinals here in 1967.
1 on, 1 out.
What a hitter.
He had to be to edge out the guy that was second in the MVP voting that year. Mr. McCabe. 1 on, 1 out, 0-1 the count on Adrian Beltre. 1 for 3, doubled in the second, and then scored on the home run by Krasinski. This should be And is. Double play. And Matt Carpenter, first year at second base. He doesn't look like it. He can turn a double play. Time to stretch in St. Louis. Rangers on the strength of two two-run home runs lead the Cardinals by 2 into the bottom of the 7th. What turns out to be a pretty night in St. Louis. To the bottom of the 7th inning, and that means David Freese will lead it off. He fouls it away, strike one. Freese is 2 for 2. He has tripled and scored singled. And he has had 2 of the best swings tonight against Martin Perez. The 22-year-old left-hander who is dealing. And here is a fly ball into right. Good pitch in on the hands of Freese. 1 out.
When you can still get in on the hands of major league hitters your 3rd time through the order, then that means you've maintained the fastball. Rangers loving what they see out of Perez. Remember, coming into this game, Rangers starters had won 1 game this month.
And that was a 5-inning effort, as it was. Came against the A's, and it was Justin Grimm on Wednesday. Here's a little fly ball into right. That will be caught by Nelson Cruz, who lost his footing and kept the arm and the glove up, made the catch. 2 out. Today's telecast sponsored by MasterCard, preferred card of Major League Baseball since 1997. By Bud Light, Lime-A-Rita. Introducing new Strawberryta. There for the summer of 2013, and this had to be an uneasy feeling for Cruz. It's great concentration to end up making the catch.
Yeah, that was. Aided and abetted by those big outfielders' gloves.
That thing is huge.
It's a cesta. What they use in highlight.
Martin Perez got a kick out of it. This guy's having fun, and as Tim said, still throwing hard. Pete Kozma with 2 out, nobody on. Ty Wigginton is in the on-deck circle. He would bat for Manus. If the inning gets there, that's up to Kozma. Maybe up to Perez, the way he's pitching. 1 ball, 1 strike. This game was over an hour delayed because of rain. It was a serious thunderstorm that rolled through here, and then a shower popped up right at what was supposed to be start time at 6:15, so we were an hour late, but we have zipped through 7. Go to the 8th. Rangers batting up 2. This game is tied. Going to third is Pujols, and it's 9-9. They just won't go away. He's now a Ranger, Lance Berkman, and for a while contemplated retirement. Got a 1-year deal to be the DH for the Texas Rangers, and trying to get his stroke back. Here's Segrist on the mound. He takes over. 1 pitch, 1 broken bat, 1 out. A.J. Pierzynski 1 for 4 as Cosma took care of it.
There are a lot of good guys in the game, too, and Lance Berkman among the best. Cortisone shot in his right knee, and he will be available probably only for pinch hitting tonight, or the rest of tonight, and tomorrow when the Cardinals and Rangers play a night game here at Busch Stadium.
Lance is 37 years old now as Moreland takes a strike. This is Segrist, and he hides the ball extremely well. Guys just don't pick him up.
And that's very unusual for a tall pitcher that throws well, because most tall pitchers that throw well have leverage pitching downhill, and they don't need to hide the ball. But he does. He has a combination of power and deception.
Former starter, so he is still learning how to work out of the bullpen. But the Cardinals, as Mike Matheny said, he was right under our nose in spring training. We've needed a left-handed presence in the bullpen to go with Randy Choate, their other left-handed. Choate's more of a specialist. Segrist is more of a, doesn't matter who's at the plate. This
That's
guy
right.
can pitch.
Left-hander or right-hander.
That's on the outside corner, and a breaking ball gets Moreland 2 out.
This is this developing curveball, and when a guy throws that hard and is that tall, adjusting to the breaking ball is very, very difficult, as Moreland shows.
Molina, good job of framing that pitch over the outside part. Here's David Murphy. But as far as Berkman's concerned, he's 37 years old now. He has had 4 operations on his right knee, 2 last year. And his big power side has been his left-handed batting stroke, and he noticed that because that knee is not even close to 100%, he's not able to really stiffen that right leg.
Straighten it out. That's exactly right.
Here's a tap foul for strike 2 on David Murphy.
And talking about leverage, when you're not able to straighten that leg out, you don't use the lower half of your body. You use only your hands. And Lance will be the first one to tell you that he can't hit that way. Very few people can.
Look where he is on most career home runs by a switch hitter.
Amazing. 3.66.
Mickey Mantle's #1, then Eddie Murray, Chipper Jones, Lance Berkman, and Carlos Beltran. Here's a 2-2. Reaching for it is Murphy, and that's about as quick and easy as they come. Segris does his job. Bottom of the 8th inning rolls in. Cardinals will send a pinch hitter, Carpenter and Beltran down 2. Freeze hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night. That moment for David Freese and the Cardinals wouldn't have been that moment if they don't come back the next night and win Game 7.
One of the proudest moments of my broadcasting career was sitting to Jack Buck's right in 1991 when he made the call and Kirby Puckett hit the game-winning home run in the 10th inning of Game 6 of the 91 season, and then sitting next to you when you made the same call. And that was, you talk about goosebumps.
That was the end of one of the most interesting, electrifying nights of baseball we've ever seen in our 18 years together in a booth. Well, Martin Perez went out there and warmed up. The Cardinals had Ty Wigginton announced as a pinch hitter. And now with the move to the right-hander Tanner Scheppers, Tanner takes over. John Jay will come off the bench. And just by sending his left-hander Martin Perez back out there, Ron Washington made Mike Matheny use a player that doesn't get the bat.
That was a very shrewd move, and I think Ron outfoxed Mike Matheny there. And that's something you don't see that often. Have the pitcher go out there, the one hitter announced, and then they have to change hitters.
Only 82 pitches on the night for Perez. Jay's trying to say that pitch hit him. He does not win that argument with the crew chief, Gary Darling. Tanner Scheppers has great stuff. So that first pitch was 97. As Jay now is in the hole 1-2. Scheppers is going to have to pitch well to match what Martin Perez did. Perez was supposed to be the number 5 starter, as you've said a couple times, broke his forearm during spring training. As Jay fouls it off his front leg. He was good enough tonight. Forget about the number 5 stuff. If he's got that kind of stuff,
I agree with that.
Unhittable at AAA, and they sent him back down. He could slide up in that rotation.
He retired the last 10 guys to face him tonight. Very impressive.
Here's a 1-2. Jay pops it up into left. Murphy is there. 1 out. Take a look at the Fox Sports 1 game summary presented by Fox Sports 1, America's new sports network. Coming August 17th. Brzezinski and Cruz with 2-run home runs each. That's all the scoring for Texas. It's been great pitching on the Rangers side. Alan Craig with an RBI single in the first inning. Martin Perez with 7 strong innings, 2 earned runs on 5 hits. We were delayed an hour 6 minutes at the start. This game has zipped now into the bottom of the 8th inning. 1 out, nobody on for Matt Carpenter. Matt is 1 for 3. A ball and a strike. Cardinals will need a new pitcher when they take the field in the 9th. Segris went 1 inning with 1 strikeout. Here's a 1-1. Late swing by Carpenter at a 96-mile-per-hour fastball. It's 1-2.
That's a great gauge. You know, it's not always a swing and a miss against a pitcher, but it's how many balls are fouled off the other way. We talked about it. Perez with many outs the other way of those 10 in a row that he retired before leaving the game.
Carpenter checks his swing on ball 2. Matt started this game 7th best in the National League, hitting .315. He's been very good in the leadoff spot. Number 1 position in the Cardinal lineup. His on-base percentage at .414. That's 3rd best among leadoff hitters in baseball. That almost tailed back for the inside corner, and it's a full count. With 1 out, nobody on. Carpenter grounds one. Going to be a tough play for Kinsler. And a base hit. Infield hit for Matt Carpenter. He's 2 for 4. Today's telecast, presented by Ace Hardware, is sponsored by Scott's, the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball, and by Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Case of Matt Carpenter breaking his bat and gets on base, knowing that had the aroma of an infield hit.
Well, Carpenter can run. He's got a great swing, and it might be in his future winning batting title in the National League with his team. Mike Matheny thinks so. And those who've watched him every day have become so impressed with what he's been able to do. Blazik and Mujica, 2 right-handers getting loose. With Beltran at the plate, the tying run. 1 on, 1 out. Hard hit base hit. Into right. Carpenter takes the turn and heads to 3rd. 1st and 3rd, 1 out as Beltran has his 2nd hit.
I tell you, Joe, it's fashionable now for the first baseman to hold the runner on at first regardless of the score. But when you're 2 runs down, you're playing for 1 out. You'll take 2, but you want 1 out. And the fact that Moreland's holding the runner close as opposed to being behind him, that gives the alley open for Beltran, a good pull hitter, and Now the Cardinals have runners on at first and third.
And they have Holiday coming up. Matt walks in, and just like that, with Perez coming out of the ball game, the Cardinals have the go-ahead run at the plate. Person of Matt Holiday, who's hit 11 home runs. Bullpen is quiet for the Rangers this inning. Belongs to Shepherd. That's bounced to third, might be two. Out at second, and got them both. The inning is over as Holiday slams his helmet down. The double play ends the eighth. The Cardinals had a chance. Holiday bounces into a 5-4-3 double play. Frustration for St. Louis as they trail by 2 after 8. On Fox, presented by Ace Hardware. Some of the reactions after the end of the eighth, the frustration for Matt Holiday. The double play turn for Tanner Scheppers. And Ron Washington saying we had it all the way. He took his starter Martin Perez out, went to his bullpen. John Jay stays in the game in center. Shane Robinson is out for the rest of the night. That's where the pitcher will bat, and that pitcher, the 7th position, is making his major league debut, Michael Blazek. He came up earlier in the year, did not get into a game, and when the Cardinals shipped out Tyler Lyons, their starter from last night's game, they recalled Blazek. Here's his major league debut, and he may fall right in line with the rest of these kids the Cardinals have brought up that have been so impressive here in 2013.
The AAA affiliate of the Cardinals, all Cardinal fans know that, but it's Memphis. And Memphis has been turning out one pitcher after another. Success in the major leagues. So the Cardinals have had the benefit of preparing young pitchers how to pitch in the major leagues and winning at the same time. And that's a very tough thing to do.
Leonis Martin was fooled on this pitch. Look how far out in front he is. And the major league debut for Blazek starts with a strikeout. That was filthy.
With the curveball, it was. But you know, usually you develop in the minor leagues and you have to win in the major leagues. But when you can win and develop at the big league level, that's something special, and that's what the Cardinals have done all year.
Here's Jurickson Profar, who gets the chance to bat switch hitter. Middle infield type, ranked as the top prospect in the minor leagues, gets a big swing. Joe Nathan is getting loose. He'll come in and try and close it. As Profar is hitting .269. And he's now trying to learn the outfield. He got a lot of action when Ian Kinsler was on the disabled list. Kinsler is back. And Profar is learning every day from Gary Pettis, the third base coach for the Rangers and the outfield coach for Texas. And he says he's not ready yet. Breaking ball as Profar way out in front, and it's 0-2.
A hard thrower with that kind of breaking ball, a downer curve, pretty good combination.
One inning for Tanner Scheppers with 2 hits. Rest all zeros. That's his pitching line. Here's the 0-2. 96 from Blazek. John Mozeliak, the Cardinal general manager, is in, I think, the most enviable position of any general manager in baseball.
Yeah, we talked about it in the open. The Cardinals with their young pitchers, the envy of the game.
Count still 0-2.
No question about it.
He's got 2 guys in the minor leagues, Michael Wacha, who was their first-round pick last year and has already made his major league debut. Carlos Martinez, a young, hard-throwing right-hander who throws in the upper 90s, is down there. Those 2 guys are developing. And now he's got all these kids up here throwing 95 that are just coming out of the woodwork for the Cardinals, and they're finding guys that other teams are missing.
Talk about a tribute to the scouting system, and Mo will tell you that.
Here's a 1-2. 2 out. 96 from Blazek with a nasty curveball. Here's why the Cardinals have been successful. They have the best record in Major League Baseball. The rookie pitcher's 18-8. The starter's ERA is the best in the major leagues. They have a .276 team average. They are deadly with 2 out and runners in scoring position. And they have the best record in baseball away from their home park. With 2 out, nobody on. Here's Kinsler. And Blazek certainly doesn't look like he is fazed at all by pitching in the big league.
I was thinking all of a sudden the Cardinals have run into a team that has arisen from the ashes, and that's the Texas Rangers. Winning 4 out of 5, excuse me, Joe, before coming into tonight's action.
And it happened at a good time for Ron Washington's club. The 1-1. Strike 2. Mike Matheny is thinking, well, we may have another.
It's not that easy.
2-2. Elvis Andrus on deck. Top of the 9th inning. 4-2. The Rangers lead it. Here's a 2-2. That's to the right side. Craig makes the pickup. Feeds Blazek for the out. And Michael Blazek gets applauded by his manager, Mike Matheny. That's his major league debut. A perfect 9th. Bottom half. Cards batting down 2. baseball night in America, presented by Ace Hardware. As Joe Nathan takes over. Joe's really been pitching well. He's got saves in each of the last 2 games, so he will try and make it 3 in a row. See his ERA under 2. And as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, it will be Allen Craig, Yadier Molina, David Freese. It will not be easy for Joe Nathan. .321 career saves from Nathan. Strike 1. Tonight, Allen Craig 1 for 3. He tried to hold up, could not. Strike 2. Guess just in case, getting work on the side. This 9th inning is Nathan's. Bounces one in there on 0-2. Joe Nathan has put together a terrific career, and he has a save percentage of 91%, which is second among active pitchers since 2004-2. Mariano Rivera, who's still doing it for the Yankees. The 1-2. 2-2.
Miss with the slider after missing with the split finger. Joe Nathan signing originally with the San Francisco Giants, and a big break came when he was traded to Minnesota. And then perhaps even a bigger break signing with the Rangers.
Here is his 2-2 pitch. Fouled back, and Craig had a big rip. The starter, Martin Perez, went 7, allowed 2 runs, 5 hits, struck out 3, walked only 1. And his only major league win came last year in his first start. Talking about Perez, came against Oakland. In line for the win tonight. Count here is full. As the Cardinals will try and spoil it here in their last at bat.
You have to run it up there and put it on a tee. That's what you do. Do not walk the leadoff hitter when you have a 2-run lead in the 9th inning.
Here is a 3-2. A strikeout starts the 9th.
How about that? That was a pitch out of the strike zone, and Craig bit. Looked like a slider. A lot of pitchers have more confidence in throwing strikes with sliders than they do fastballs. Good pitch from Nathan.
Now Yadier Molina. A rare hitless night so far for Molina, who is number 2 in Major League Baseball with his average, number 1 in the National League, and he's 0 for 4. Left side, it is Andrews with Beltre playing around.
He went for the deke. I did. He decoyed.
So did the guy calling it.
He decoyed both of us.
Here is our King play of the game, brought to you by Burger King, where taste is king, and he's been king. Nelson Cruz with a big week. 2-run shot, the difference that came in the 3rd inning. Broke a 2-2 tie.
Look at this. Oh, that's great. I'll tell you, you talk about a guy who loves to play. Actually, both of those guys, but Adrian Beltre, you cannot get him out of the lineup.
Fouled by Freese. Is Ken Rosenthal still down there?
I am.
What did you learn about Mr. Beltre over at third and his toughness?
Well, in spring training, I had a talk with the Rangers trainer, Jamie Reed, and he said Beltre is as mentally tough as any player he has ever been around. Coming from Jamie Reed, that meant something. He was an assistant trainer with the Orioles from '89 to '96, and of course, Cal Ripken was playing then. So I said, Jamie, come on. He's not as tough as Cal Ripken. And he said, you know what? He's in that class. He's every bit in that class.
Can't pay a higher compliment
No.
than that. 2 out, nobody on, 1-1 pitch. Freeze pops it up, should end the night. Great pitching performance by the Rangers. Kinsler is there, and they win it 4-2. They've taken the first 2 games of this series. Perez gets the win, Shelby Miller the loss, and the save for Joe Nathan, number 24. He's got 3 in a row. Basically a 2.5-hour game after a 1-hour delay at the start. We'll send it to Greg and Mitch in the MLB Network studios.